Almost all American journalism is controlled by a few massive corporations. News Voice is a one-of-a-kind mobile app that tracks the bias and corporate interests that infuse the news stories we consume every day, and it's completely free to use. Go to newsvoice.com/Pakman to download it. There's no doubt that it's really easy to just criticize without offering an alternative. And it's also much easier to see things in retrospect than in advance. Now, on Twitter, more and more people, some in good faith, have been saying to me, some are trolls, some are acting in good faith. You know, David, you're doing a lot of criticism, but what should Donald Trump have done differently to better deal with the pandemic? So that's what I want to talk about now. Now, if you want to just say, any hindsight analysis is worthless, well, okay, then you can click off and go somewhere else now. But we actually do have some very specific things to talk about here. So there's the big picture and then there's the micro. First of all, before we even deal with the specifics now, as a general thing, Donald Trump never should have disbanded the pandemic response team, and he never should have cut funding to the CDC. This is what they are supposed to work on all the time. We don't know when the next pandemic will hit. And Trump said back when he cut the pandemic response team, said we don't need to be paying for people that aren't really needed, that aren't really doing anything right now. We now know why they were needed. That pandemic response team never should have been eliminated. Now, let's get to the specifics of the here and now. Back in December, when this started, we now know that inside government, they were already discussing it. Immediately at that point, you say, if X happens, we ban travel. If Y happens, we do this. You have parameters for when will you start shutting down travel based on what takes place. Instead, Trump didn't do that. We were persistently behind the curve. And despite the fact that he's bragging about how early he did these things, that's not true. OK, you also back in December right away, you then figure out how many masks do we have? How many ventilators do we have? How would we distribute them? You probably start distributing them in early January to be ahead of the game. By mid-January, there were already hundreds of cases. That's when you start getting the masks and ventilators to hospitals instead of what's happening now, which is we don't know where they are. They're not telling us the truth. The president of Mass General here in Massachusetts is asking people to start 3D printing masks at home. And Trump and Pence daily just sort of stumble around about we're mobilizing this resource. We are bringing this online. We are requesting production. Everything happened 4 to 5 weeks late. Early January, you immediately ask private industry, which Trump loves. He loves private industry. He always talks about it. You immediately go to private industry and you say, develop a rapid test now and also develop an antibody test. We are not using an antibody test here in the United States. This is important to figure out who has already had it. So many people now believe they had mild cases of this. Imagine if we could know that, just hypothetically, 5% of the population has already had this and has recovered, mild or asymptomatic cases. It's really important to know that. We don't have an antibody test. You could have months ago pushed private industry to develop that. And also you immediately say, let's start testing treatments now. So instead of now wondering, would chloroquine and azithromycin work? Is it safe? What about Ativan? What about remdesivir? You start doing that in late January, early February. Trump said to Anthony Fauci over the weekend, wouldn't you have liked to have had 2 more months on this? You could have had them. We are 8 to 10 weeks behind on just about all of this stuff at this point in time. Also, by late January, you got to shut down the China flights. Trump didn't do it until February. You can also, Trump's clueless, and appointing Pence late is idiocy. In January, you bring on a COVID czar. I would suggest Ronald Klain. This was Obama's Ebola czar. Look him up on Twitter. That would have been a great person to appoint. And realistically, you do the Europe flight bans in February instead of March 12th. Trump didn't do it until March 12th. Very, very late. By the end of February, you need a national stay-at-home order. It may be coming eventually. We don't know. Every day lost is a tragedy. Here in Massachusetts, we got not a shelter in place, but guidelines about no school, takeout only at restaurants, etc. We got that on March 15th, starting the 17th. Every day you lose, we see how it affects the curves. And Trump doing that at the end of February would have really prevented a lot of what we're now dealing with. Also, you have to negotiate the economic side, right? The deal. Every day they say, we're figuring out how to get money to people. We're figuring out how to bail out industry. We're figuring out how to bail out small business. They're still arguing about the specifics, and nothing has happened yet. Who knows when anybody might get money now? You have to get that going in advance and have it ready, being ahead of the game. But we have a system of government, we have a moronic person at the top, and we have an economic system, quite frankly, that doesn't work in this way. It's reactive instead of proactive. It's gotten very, very ugly. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @Pakman. I also want to tell you, because we're all hopefully staying at home, we've rescheduled the David Pakman Show viewer chess tournament. It's this Wednesday night, March 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. There will be information about how to play on social media. Anybody can play, regardless of your skill level. The tournament will be on lichess.org. That's lichess.org. All you have to do is get an account on lichess.org. I invite you, participate in the David Pakman Show chess tournament this Wednesday evening, March 25th at 8 p.m.